We're going to multiply decimals by whole numbers. Before we get started, we're going to estimate each product. You have 5 of you come up and do these. We'll pause it while the answers are paused. Okay, here we go. Let's check out our answers here. Number 1 says 15 6/10 rounds to 6. Now, 15 6/10 rounds to 16. 16 times 10 is 160. Good job. Who did that one? Cooper? Man, all right. Good job, Cooper. Number 2, 8 2/10 times 4. 8 2/10 rounds to 8. 8 times 4 is 32. Number 3. Who did number 2? That was Rendon, right? Good job, Rendon. 19 5/10 times 5. 19 5/10 rounds to 20. 20 times 5 equals 100. We could have done without the decimal point here. Because when we rounded, we got rid of our decimal point in our question. So you don't have to put 0.0, okay? And then our next problem, it says 15 8/85 rounds to 16. 16 times 7 is 112. Very good. So who did 3? Number 3 was Xavier, and number 4 was Ricky. You did number 4? Good job, Ricky. Number 5. My little buddy did number 5, Mr. Williamson. A can of marbles costs 29 cents. A bag of buttons costs 42 cents. Estimate the total cost of 3 cans of marbles and 2 bags of buttons. Shh. Stop talking to the back of the room, please. I will tell you that his answer is, the math is right, but the answer is wrong. So, he rounded correctly. He says, well, a can of marbles costs 29 cents, so he went to 30 cents. The only problem is it wasn't 30 cents anymore, it was 4/10. And then he rounded a bag of buttons to 40 cents, but it wasn't 40 cents, it was 4/10 because he didn't put the dollar signs. Then he has these 2 numbers here, but I have no idea how he got them. Remember what we talked about showing work?
Yeah.
So we need to make sure that we multiply, or in this case, we haven't multiplied decimals before, so I would do repeated addition. Write down 30 cents 3 times, right? We're going to do some multiplication here in just a second. I have my decimals lined up, so I know that that's going to go down there. 0 plus 0 plus 0 is 0. 3 plus 3 is 6, plus 3 is 9. It's 0, so I have 90 cents. So again, his 9 cents was right, but it was wrong because it wasn't 90 cents, it was 9 cents. All right, then our bag of buttons, we rounded to 40 cents. Repeated addition again, 40 cents. That's 0, that's 8. There's my decimal because my decimals are lined up, and that's 0. So that's 80 cents. So I have to fix that, 80 cents. Now, he did add these together, and he got 1 7/10, which is pretty much right, with the exception of there's no dollar sign, and he didn't put a 0 where. So it should have been $1.70, not 1 7/10. So, like I said, your math was all correct. It was just, if we don't put the dollar signs and stuff in there when we're doing word problems, your answer's wrong because it's not asking for 1 7/10. It's asking for $1.70, right? $1.70. So let's make sure that we follow along and we do that kind of stuff right. All right. So our first example in your book today, we're going to start off with some repeated addition. So 4 times 3 62/100 means 3 62/100 plus 3 62/100 plus 3 62/100 plus 3 62/100. So they want us to show it like this because we've done. Why would they tell you to add this 4 times? Because we've added decimals already. We've done this. We haven't multiplied decimals yet, right? So what they're telling you is don't try to learn something new related to something that you already know. We already know how to add decimals. We know that 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 is
8.
All right. We know that our decimals all have to line up over here. We know that 6 plus 6 is
12.
plus 6 is
18.
plus 6 is.
24.
We know how to regroup. That's why the 2's up here already. So we know that 2 plus 3 is plus 3 plus 3. 8 plus 3 is
11.
plus 3.
14.
So we know how to add like that already. So if we know how to do that, we now know that that's the answer to that. 14 and 48/100 is the answer to 4 times 3 and 62/100. So now what we're going to do is we're going to see how do we actually multiply it instead of using addition. So now that we know that we can solve it, we know that we can solve it. It's just going to take us forever. We're going to actually multiply it. So you can see here, they did 4 times 2 is
8.
4 times 6 is, there's our 4, there's our 2. They regrouped the 2, right? 4 times 3 is
12.
plus 2 is
14.
14. Now what they did, remember what we talked about at the end of the last lesson, at the end of the last lesson in the book? We said how many decimal places, right? How many decimal places are there?
2.
There are 2 places to the right of the decimal. So that means we're going to start at the end of our number and we're going to count in how many places?
2.
We're going to count 2 decimal places in, and that's where we're going to put our decimal. Okay? So the number of decimals in our answer is going to equal the number of decimals in our problem. Now, do not, and I'm going to say this right now, do not take your decimal and move it straight down. Okay? Because what we're going to do later on is we're going to add decimals. We're going to multiply decimals times decimals. And then we have to add up all the decimals that are up here. And then we have to move the decimal accordingly down here. Okay? So even though you're going to look at it, you're like, oh, the decimal's straight down. Do not do that. All right. Now moving on. Now we're going to actually, we're not going to use our repeated decimal to check this. We're going to use our estimation. Now, we've estimated, last night, you guys all estimated, rounded decimals to the nearest one and multiplied them, right? Why would we do that? We would do that to make sure our answers make sense. Okay? So 3 times 1 is? 3. So we're going to make sure that our answer is close to 3. Close the door. Cooper. Okay? So over here we have 3 times 6 is? 18. We carry our 1 just like we're going to multiply this like it's a whole number and ignore the decimal completely. So 3 times 9 is?
10.
Plus 1 is?
28.
3 times 0 is?
0.
Plus 2 is?
2.
So we have 2 and 88/100, right? So 3 times 96/100 is 2 and 88/100. Look, how many decimal places?
2.
2. So we count in
2.
2. All right? So the product, which is 2 and 88/100, is close to our estimate, which was 3. So our answer is reasonable. So it's just another way of making sure that, hey, our answer is reasonable. All right? So here's your examples for today. All right? We're going to check for reasonableness. If I'm going to check 5/10 for reasonableness, am I going to round 5/10 to 1? No. So what I would do, this is why they showed us 2 different ways to do it. We're going to use repeated addition to check this one. All right? So I need to write 5/10 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right? 3, 4, 5, 6. Add it. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30.
bring down the 3.
Alright. So 5 times 6 is 30. 6 times 0 is
0.
plus 3 is.
3.
So there we go. Now in this case they're identical. Now if this would have been 4/10, I still would have rounded it to 5/10 and I would have done repeated addition of 5/10. Alright, it's an estimate. It doesn't have to be exact, even though this one did. Now, down here, 2 6/10.
4.
I need 2 minutes and you guys need to be quiet. Tell them. Okay, so 4 times 6.
24.
Carry the 2. 4 times 2.
8.
Plus 2.
10.
10. Now, I would round this. 2 6/10 will round to what?
3.
3. So 3 times 4 is what?
12. 3 times
12.
12.
Sorry, my multiplication sign looked like an addition sign. I tricked you. So 12 is close to 10 4/10, right?
Yep.
So it makes sense.
Yep.
So, here we go. You're going to do, for your homework, to number 18. Okay? If you need the answers, to number 19. And if you need answers, where will you find your answers?
On the YouTube.
On our YouTube video. Make sure you check for reasonableness. Make sure you show your work. You may go.